Hey guys, and thank you so much for stopping by my channel, Sea Panda Crafts. For those of you that are new here, welcome. My name is Wendy, and today I have 12 different Dollar Tree spring and Easter DIYs to share with you guys. All of these DIYs were made with items found at the Dollar Tree, with the exception of a couple of items that I either had on hand or that I picked up in the Target dollar spot. And I went ahead and included timestamps for each DIY down below in the description box. So if you're just interested in jumping to a certain DIY, it can be found there. Just go ahead and expand that description box. And I can't believe spring is less than 3 weeks away, you guys. I am so excited, and I hope you guys are excited too, and I hope you are excited for these DIYs. So let's go ahead and get right into the tutorials. This first DIY was inspired by Pottery Barn's March cover of their lookbook, and I just used one of these galvanized candle holders that I picked up at Walmart a long time ago. I already had it on hand, but if you don't want to use that, you could also use a Dollar Tree faux galvanized flower pot. They have those in the garden section right now. And then I just used 3 stems of the dark purple lilacs and then one of the more light colored purple. And then I just spread them out kind of like in a star shape. And now I'm not a florist, but this is just the easiest way I could figure out how to kind of spread them apart and then arrange them and adjust them to make them look more, I guess, realistic. And so I just went ahead and did that to each stem, and then I just went in between where all the gaps were. So I kind of just repeated this step for each stem until the vase was full. And then I just went ahead and made some adjustments by bending the stems and primping or pruning. I'm not really sure the wordage for that. Next, I just took this fern pick and cut some pieces off and stuck them behind the flowers and around the sides for a fuller look. And that's it. And for a more organic look, I just took a small willow wreath and some reindeer moss and put those around the base of the vase. And then the little bunny cloche or cloche, however you say that, was so easy. It literally took me less than 15 seconds. I just took this vase found at the Dollar Tree and then some of these stone or moss stones found in the garden section of Dollar Tree. And then this little bunny, he's actually part of a salt and pepper shaker that I picked up thrifting. And then I just went ahead and kind of trapped him inside and then stuck another one of those little moss stones on top. And he's just the perfect addition for your tablescape. For this next DIY, I just took this handmade card found at the Dollar Tree, an old frame, and a book, and then I went ahead and tore around the edges of that card. Next, I just took a book page and glued it down to the back of the envelope that the card came with, which was perfect because it was also the same size of the insert of the picture frame. Then I just trimmed off the excess. Then I went ahead and glued that bunny down and then took some book pages and tore them up into little pieces. Now I understand that for some people this might be upsetting. So if you're one of those people or you're not comfortable doing that, then you can just go ahead and print off a Word document as well. That will work too. And then I just used some diluted Mod Podge and a paintbrush and glued the pieces down around the bunny, making sure to get the edges. Once I was done decoupaging around the bunny, I just waited for it to dry and then I trimmed off anything that was hanging off the edges and then I put it back in the frame. For the bunny trail box, I took this wooden crate found in the Target dollar spot section for $5. And you could also use a Dollar Tree planter. And then 2 of the wooden letter packs found at the Dollar Tree. And then I went ahead and spelled out bunny trail and painted those white with some acrylic paint. And then once I had those dried, I went ahead and hot glued them down to the front of the crate. And like I had briefly mentioned in the beginning, Dollar Tree has plenty of options with it being spring. Right now in the garden section, you can find a planter or use something that you already have. Next, I just used some plastic bags and some of this Excelsior grass found in the Dollar Tree's garden section as a filler, and you can also use any type of basket filler, especially with the Easter stuff out right now. You could find some really cute options. Next, I just took these 2 cards that I found in the Dollar Tree's Easter section, as well as these picks that come in a pack, and there are multiple different sizes of these available in the Easter decor section. And then I just ripped off those eggs and then used them for the decor in the basket or the box, and then I went ahead and pulled off the image of the bunny from the card. And you just want to kind of be careful when you pull this off. The foam backing is really sticky, which is a good thing, but it's also kind of difficult sometimes to tear them off without bending the image. And then I just took some hot glue and then I glued down that pick from the egg, the egg pick, and then so I just glued that down, and I did end up taking off the little bow because the bunny already had a bow, and I didn't really feel like it was necessary. And I just flipped it over so that the pointy side would be facing down. And then just using a piece of scrap floral foam, I used that as the base for the pick, and then I just repeated the process for the other card. And then I just took those foam pieces and then I just stuck them underneath the grass, and then I just used some eggs and carrots to kind of decorate the top of the basket. And I just think this DIY turned out so cute and adorable, and it was honestly just my favorite DIY. For the bloom wreath, I went ahead and used a large willow wreath found at the Dollar Tree, as well as 2 of the wooden letter packs also found at the Dollar Tree to spell out the word bloom. And then I went ahead and painted those a light pink, almost like a blush color. I just added a few drops of my pink acrylic paint to some of my white acrylic paint. And then I used 3 stems of these crocus flowers in pink, purple, and light pink. And I just went around the wreath. I trimmed them down to where they had like maybe 3 inches on the stem left. And I didn't even use any hot glue. I just went around the wreath, alternating colors and kind of sticking those flowers in between the willow branches and leaving the stems exposed in the back. And I went ahead and did all the flowers kind of going around in this clockwise rotation. And then I just took the excess stem and kind of twisted them around, being careful not to pull too hard, and twisted them, kind of intertwined them in the willow wreath. And then just using some hot glue, I went ahead and attached those letters to the left side of the wreath. And for only $6, I think this wreath turned out so beautiful, and I was really happy with how it turned out. This next DIY, the Farmhouse Mirror, was inspired by Bargain Bethany. She did something very similar to this on her channel, I believe last year or the year before. I'm not quite sure, but I'll link her channel down below in case you have not heard of her. If you're a DIYer and you've been on YouTube for a while, I'm pretty sure you know she's like one of the best DIYers in my opinion. She's one of my favorite YouTubers. But I just went ahead and painted the garden fence that I picked up at the Dollar Tree white, and then I took a paper towel and just went ahead and dabbed around in just random locations to give it a more weathered look, kind of taking off some of the paint, especially around like the edges of those pointy spears, I guess. I don't know what you call those. And then just kind of rubbing and taking off some of the paint. Next, I took 6 of these frames that I found at the Dollar Tree. They have a few different frames, but I chose the thicker frame, and I went ahead and painted that kind of like a gray color, like a whitish gray. I just took some white acrylic paint and a few drops of gray paint and mixed that together. And then I just took a paper towel again and went around the edges, kind of randomly taking off paint to give it that weathered, worn look, or shabby chic, I guess, look, especially paying close attention to the edges. And yeah, I think it makes it look kind of distressed. And then I decided to take that gray paint that I used to paint the frames and then kind of just go around randomly and put it on the fence just so it would kind of match. And then carefully using some scissors, I went ahead and removed the outer stakes, the outer two stakes from the gate. And all I did was kind of just hold it down and then kind of bend it up and then twist a little bit until they came off. Like I said, just leaving the middle stake on the gate. Next, using a foam board that I picked up in the office section of Dollar Tree, I'm just going to go ahead and line up my mirrors going vertically. I've seen this done in other YouTube DIYs going horizontally, but for me, my preference was I just wanted them to face vertically. And then you'll see on the right hand edge there is some exposed foam board, and that's fine. All I did after this thing was all put together and it had cured, I went ahead and used an X-Acto knife and I just cut that off. And you'll see here that the mirrors are longer than the foam board, and that's fine. I'll show you how I made it all come together. Once I had all my mirrors laid out how I wanted them, I went ahead and took some E6000 glue. Now, I recommend using E6000 or some kind of industrial strength glue. You do not want to just use hot glue alone. It will not hold when you stand it up. It will eventually fall off and break. So just using some E6000 glue, I went around the edge of the frame as well as the backing of the mirror, and I kind of just did like this S pattern all the way down on the back and then up as well. Once you have your E6000 down, you want to actually also use some hot glue, and what this does is it keeps the mirror from sliding around while the E6000 glue is curing. Hot glue is a quick bond, and so you will need that when you put this thing together. Otherwise, like I said, it'll just be sliding around and it will be a hot mess. So just put some glue down, some hot glue down on top in just random spots. It doesn't really matter. And then you're going to go ahead and place your frame back on the foam board and just kind of gently press down. Then you're going to repeat these steps for the mirror to the right of the bottom mirror as well as the middle mirrors. And then once you get to the top two mirrors, you're going to actually just place the glue down directly onto the foam board, since how those top two mirrors hang off the board. And you can see there's kind of a gap in those two middle mirrors, and that's because the frames were not exactly the same size. I mean, they were like maybe a centimeter off. So I went ahead and I lined it up to where the outside edges were lining up with the rest of the mirrors. And to attach the gate to the top of the mirrors, all I did was add some E6000, and I actually ran out of hot glue, so I was just using some E6000, and then I just slid it behind the top two, where the top two mirrors meet. And then I just used something heavy, slightly heavy, to kind of hold it down in place. I think I ended up using my laptop. So yeah, you just want to let this thing sit and cure at least for 24 hours before you stand it up. And like I said, after I let this thing cure, I just went ahead and cut off the edge of that foam board with an X-Acto knife, and I love how it turned out. I think this is a beautiful piece that I can use and decorate throughout every season. And I put it by my entryway table, and I actually used a Dollar Tree vine garland at the top there to give it a French garden look. For this next DIY, I took a floral foam wreath found at the Dollar Tree, and I painted that with a base coat of white acrylic paint. And then once that was dry, I went over it with some light pink paint. And then I used these thumbtacks that I found in the Dollar Tree's office section. They're gold. I'm not sure if they have any other colors. And then all I did was go around the center of the wreath, kind of overlapping. And you can do any design you want. This is kind of just the design that I chose to do. And then once I had gone around the middle of the wreath, I went ahead and just placed some tacks kind of in a zigzag pattern around the wreath. Next, I just took a couple of these leaves from this fern pick and hot glued them down to one side of the wreath. And I also included some flowers from my stash from last year, and I chose like these really pretty white flowers because I loved the little pop of white. And like I said, I just attached a couple of those fern leaves, and I chose a kind of a light green with the contrast of the dark green. And this centerpiece can also be used as a wreath, and I think it is the perfect transition from spring to summer. It gives me so many tropical vibes. This next DIY was so easy, it only took me about 5 minutes to make. I just used this Flowers and Garden faux galvanized planter that I found from the Dollar Tree, as well as this rectangle foam block, and I just stuck it inside, and I didn't even need to hot glue it down. That way you can reuse it. And I just took this stash of flowers that I had in my craft stash from last year, and I can't tell you all the different names of the flowers because I don't know. But I just cut the stems at different lengths, leaving the shorter stems in the front and then the longer stems in the back, if that makes sense, or the taller flowers in the back. And I'm no florist or anything. I just kind of arranged them how I liked them. And if you were curious, yes, those are dog nail trimmers. I don't actually use those on my dogs anymore. I actually use a Dremel. But hey, just it works, and just in case you have some old dog nail clippers laying around, they work really well as wire cutters. And there you have it. You have this really beautiful piece to put on an entryway table or even a bathroom or a guest room. And to easily transition this thing into an Easter decor piece, I just used these bunny picks and these eggs found at the Dollar Tree, and I just stuck them down into that foam. This next DIY was inspired by Pottery Barn. I would consider it a dupe. Others might not, and that's okay. But I'm going to show you how I did it anyways. I took this fern pick and flameless LED pillar candle from the Dollar Tree, and then I just cut off the tops of the the fern leaves, and the tops of the fern leaves have kind of like a very plasticky material. And then I just took this hot glue gun and put some hot glue down on the bottom of those leaves and then through the stem. And I do recommend using some finger protectors, even though I'm not in the video. I know I'm not the perfect example of safety, but yeah, you're going to want to use some finger protectors because otherwise you're going to burn your fingers. And you want to work like super fast with this project just because of the material of the fern leaves. That hot glue just wants to melt directly into the fern, so you want to make sure you just do it really fast and get those down on the candle. This DIY was super simple to make and very inexpensive. It only cost me $2 compared to what these things are going for on Pottery Barn. For the smallest size, I believe it was $69 for one candle, which is insane. But, you know, to each their own. If you have $69 to spend on a candle, I think that's great. But yeah, I think it turned out really, really beautiful on my tablescape with the rest of my decor. These candle holders were so super easy to make. I just took these two different candle bases from the Dollar Tree and painted them a base coat of white with some acrylic paint. And then I went and added a couple drops of gray paint once those were dry and mixed it with the white to give it this light, very, very light gray color. And then I went over with 2 coats of that. And so I used one of these pillars for my flameless candle, and then the other one I used, and I put one of these lanterns that I found at the Dollar Tree to kind of give the same look as the Pottery Barn zinc eggs. For the Happy Easter bunny wreath, I just took a willow wreath and this cute little wooden sign both from the Dollar Tree, and I cut off his head because that's not morbid at all. And then I attached him to the wreath using some twine, kind of having his head dangle there in the middle. And then I took the Happy Easter carrots and I attached the Happy carrot to the top of the wreath using some hot glue. And you'll see later on I kind of had to finagle his head behind the wreath so that I could fit the Easter carrot to the bottom. If you want a more permanent bond to withstand the tests of time, you can use some E6000. However, I like to reuse things a lot, so I just decided to use hot glue, and it definitely, I'm doing the voiceover for this a week later, and the carrots are still on there. So hot glue works just fine. Next, I took these amaranthus picks, one in pink and one in purple, and I cut off a few stems of each, and then just leaving a few inches of the stem, I went ahead and put the stems in between the wreath, and then kind of intertwined them and wrapped them around the wreath. And I did not need to use any hot glue for this step. And that is all I did for this wreath. For the last DIY, I'm going to be using this wire basket I found in the organizational section of Dollar Tree, some Excelsior grass, some of these cute little speckled eggs, and then these little twine carrots, all from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to go ahead and decorate this little basket with the eggs and the carrots. You can also use any type of basket filler for this DIY. And that is it for my 12 DIYs. I hope this has inspired you guys to create something, some decor pieces for spring, or giving you some ideas of different things that you can do with Dollar Tree items. I would appreciate a thumbs up so much if you guys enjoyed this video. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel and you would like to see more of my videos in the future, go ahead and click on my picture in the upper left-hand corner of this video, and it will take you to a little button where you can subscribe. And until next time, I hope you guys have a wonderful week.